Welcome to the Journey Podcast, where we talk freight, sales, tech, the market, and everything in between. My name is Will Jenkins, CEO and founder of Journey. Let's get it. Hello and welcome to the Journey Podcast. My name is Will Jenkins, CEO and founder of Journey. And today I'm joined by Tyler Harper, co-founder and CRO of Pinnacle Logistics Group. Tyler, great to see you, man.
Hey, man. Good to see you. It's good to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I would love to, as we dive in here, just get everybody acclimated with your background, learn a little bit about you, what you and the team are up to. But before we do that, I want to hear your fun fact. You got anything fun for us?
I would say that the fun fact about me is that I don't know if this is for everybody, but I feel like a true Renaissance man sometimes, where I feel like I've got a little bit of everything in me. Like some days I just want to wear cowboy attire and be a cowboy as a natural Arizonan. Sometimes I want to wear comfy athleisure. Sometimes I have that little sophistication when I throw in classical. I don't know. I'm a little bit of a chameleon and Renaissance man. And I like a little bit of everything in life.
Nice, man. I can dig it. There's nice variation in the outfits and all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So, funny enough, we met through one of your business partners as we started talking about doing some consulting work together. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you and the team and seeing what you all have been able to build. I know your background a bit, but I'd love to hear a little bit about how you got into the industry. And then I would like to dive into what you and the team are building at Pinnacle.
So I got into the industry like many do, straight as a college grad. I was part of a recruiting class. A buddy went to go work at a big box brokerage, called me up. I was like, hey, this is a pretty good opportunity. I'm having fun here. You should try it out. We gave it a shot, did it, and then just fell in love with the game. I don't know if it's just, it leads itself towards younger college guys with the vibe, and kind of like when you're looking at a load board and all that, it's kind of like a game, man. You're kind of just trying to, especially on the carrier sales side, you're trying to like play a little game of matchup and Tetris, kind of like looking at the stock market. You're just checking all the time, trying to, make new friends and match it up. And I love that. I love that opportunity. And I also just generally love people. I'm an extrovert by nature. And so calling and talking to people from all different parts of the country, all different backgrounds, all different ethnicities, and learning about people and trying to build relationships. Like I just really enjoyed that. And so just kicked it off there, did that for, just under a decade, and kind of ended up from there through a few different companies, led one of the largest outside agencies out of the big box. And then they had sold off, and that is when we started Pinnacle. And so, we're a relationship-driven brokerage that lives in the big, ugly, complex freight world of furniture, mattresses, drayage, and now specifically LTL. It imports in Mexico. So the more complicated and ugly it gets, the more that we like it.
Nice, man. What year did you get into freight?
That would have been 2014.
Nice. It's the same time that I got in 12 years ago now. So it's been a minute.
Gosh, it sounds crazy when you say that out loud, doesn't it?
It does. It does. I mean, time flies. And as you know, once you get into freight, it's really hard to get out, especially when you start to see some success and, the money's good. It's chaotic. There's a lot of things going on. To acclimate everyone that's listening with the different roles that you've had, your first role, was it carrier facing, customer facing? What was the first thing you got into?
So very first role was carrier sales, right? And at that time, the training was literally, it wasn't even, you didn't even start, you did 2 months of just calling trucks every day, calling carriers every day, and uploading where their capacity was in the system in the TMS. So like,
nice.
You're not even talking to dispatchers, like you're not even booking loads yet. You're just posting capacity internally, which, turned out to be I would say an ineffective in-house strategy for most brokerages in my opinion. But that's where we started off. Then it was carrier sales, then led a truckload operations team. And now I've had probably like 4 different roles since we started the company. So it's been a constantly growing and learning journey.
What do you think carrier sales taught you about what you and your team are building now that you've got your own brokerage?
Carrier sales taught me a lot of things. One is people are people. And if you can talk to people and be honest and real, like you're going to be successful. I think I think the biggest skill set that I had in carrier sales that like separated me was being able to transfer trust and belief to other people, right? Like when I say I'm going to do right by you and if something happens and there's a tension, I'm going to do it. Like lots of people say that, but getting the carrier to actually believe it when they've heard it 100 times is a totally different story. Or, when you're setting somebody up and you're like, hey, I'm going to hold this load for you. How many times have you heard of carrier sales reps being like, yeah, the guy was supposed to hold the truck for me. He didn't trust me, blah, 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 blah. I would say like I had a very, very high, I don't know what you call it, success rate in regards to that. Very seldom did anybody back out on that. And that was just, I was able to instill that belief with them and trust by just keeping it real, but being upfront and honest about everything. And I think transferring that belief is something we've worked on here. And then two, one of our core ethos that I've always thought was so important for the company, and I think was taught in carrier sales, is speed is king, right? I would say transferring that belief to start a relationship and then being reliable and always picking up the phone. That's the number one thing that I've heard over the years from we saw dispatchers that will call in now. And I'm like, dude, I've been out of carrier sales for so long. And they'll call in and ask me like, I just know Todd will always answer the phone. He'd always answer the phone. Even if I'd had 3 people on hold and it was the 4th call coming in, I'm answering thinking, hey, I got to finish up. I got 2 people online. Let me put you on hold. I'll be with you or I'll call you back in 10 minutes. And I would have dispatchers wait for me. And if I didn't get back to them, they always got a call back every single time. And so just being reliable, being available, always answering the phone. I think speed is king is like the number one ethos that a brokerage could have, in my opinion.
I love it, man. I grew up on the carrier side of the business too. So a lot of what you just said there resonates with me. I think it taught me urgency, taking care of people, all those things. And long-term, that's, why people keep coming back to work with you when they trust you and they know that you're going to follow through with what you mentioned. So let's talk specifically about Pinnacle. So when did you all launch? And you mentioned the tough, challenging freight, furniture, LTL, a couple other things. I want to dive into what you all do really, really well.
So we started in 2021. So interesting time because it was still like some markets were coming down hard because of the post-COVID and some were still totally elated, right? And so I'd say the freight market was great for us back then. It's not for everybody, but it was great starting out. And we were lucky that we didn't start from zero, kind of started with the book. And so we had already built a stake in our relationship and, the furniture vertical, let's say. And we leaned into that more and more. And we built it like super old school way, just trade shows, in person, referrals, no brands, no marketing, no online presence, no massive Salesforce making 100 cold calls a day. It was pure just do what we say we're going to do and provide really good service and believe that it would work itself out over time. And
nice,
then
man.
Yeah, so that's how it started. And then we've probably reinvented ourselves 3 or 4 times in that process, just finding different modes and services that kind of lean towards those customers and what they need.
Yeah, totally. So when you think about who was around when you first started the business, how many people were there day one? I've had the opportunity to meet your business partners. I know it's a scrappy group though, day one.
It was 4 of us, right? Nice. So it was me, the 2 other owners, and 1 other employee working out of Vincent's house and just right there in the kitchen, grinding it out before we had our very first office. And thankfully, laptops aren't too expensive. So we had low startup costs with just laptops, desktops, and everything we needed. And we were just out there grinding it out, trying to make it work. There was no going back. And that was probably one of the scariest, biggest leaps that we ever took for sure. Because Nick was building a house and I was building a house and we were starting a new company. So we were, upgrading our homes, had it all on the line. It was kind of a burn the boats situation.
There's something to be said about taking that risk and going out there and figuring it out because you don't really have a choice, right? Building a house, you've got responsibilities, you've got families. We figure this thing out or it doesn't work. And a lot of times, if you're willing to put in the work to go and perform, it works out well. The beginning typically is not very fun, but that's just, what you sign up for.
You're working super hard, but it's partially fun because at least for the first few months, right? Even though you're working super hard because you're starting something new, you've got total autonomy. So it's fun, but stressful, exhilarating all at once. Kind of reminds me of one of my favorite quotes that from Jordan Peterson is like, never underestimate the utility of necessity. Right. And
Totally.
so when everything's online, it needs to work out, you find a way.
Totally. So let's talk specifically services and things that you and your team focus on. Give me a quick overview on what Pinnacle does, and then we'll probably dive into the nitty gritty about what makes y'all different.
Yeah. So we do multi-stop consolidation, Mexico, cross-border, drayage and ocean, and I've really niched into LTL, big bulky LTL as of late as well. And then of course we do truckload and like standard stuff, but those are kind of the unique niche modes that we focus on.
Okay, awesome. Was there one that y'all started with initially that kind of got everything rolling, and then the rest of them branched out over time?
Yeah. That's part of like the reinvent process. So I would say because we were in furniture and mattresses, we started with multi-stop consolidation. So number one was just multi-stop. We did a ton of multi-stop, got really good at that. Then we kind of realized that there was a landscape at the time, especially post-COVID, where the market that it's SFCs. I don't want to badmouth any company in particular, but there was a certain set of carriers and they just had really, really long and steady transit times because things were crazy post-COVID during that housing rush. And so transit times were really long. It was expensive, and they're still treating floor-loaded furniture like traditional LTL, where they're transloading in a ton of time. So there was a ton of damages, right?
Yeah.
So overall, just an expensive, not great service, not great customer experience for almost everybody in the space. And so we kind of saw that as an opportunity, and we really honed in on consolidation and gathering data from shippers and building out a whole specific program based on their exact needs to run multi-stop direct from their facilities straight to their dealers. And that was kind of the first one that really, really saw a ton of success. We kind of had our first beta customer where we brought that to market and kind of developed the tech for it. It was wildly successful. They basically kept their charges the same for freight, and they ended up making $1 million on freight that year with the savings. So you would say that, yeah, we saved them over $1 million in freight spend with that program. And their customers were getting their product faster, getting better communication with less damages, right? So it was like a win-win-win all around, right? Very few drawbacks to that program other than you need more involvement from the warehouse. And so there is an offset there of just like more management in the warehouse and all of that. But that's what really kicked it off. And then simultaneously, kind of around that time, because of the first tariffs passing, a lot of people had already looked at venturing into Mexico. And we had already had experience in Mexico from auto parts and doing cross-border. So that foundation was sort of set. And then we built that playbook to help furniture manufacturers start to source from Mexico. So, hooking them up with vendors and people that were sourcing, and then building out the Mexico, and cross-border offer was, I would say that had a ton of sweat equity in it. That's a much more old school and opaque market. And that was Vincent and I going down to Mexico regularly, not just to meet with customers, but to actually meet with carriers and source carriers and warehouses and just rubbing elbows and, old school way of doing business. Right. And so that was different than mostly how it's done now, but it was a lot of fun. It was super cool. So
that's awesome, man. So let's talk about challenging stuff in year one. Typically there are some defining periods, things that may not have gone as anticipated. Anything that stands out the first year or so where you all might've been, backs against the wall trying to figure this thing out?
Yeah, I think the backs against the wall challenging part, it's catch-22. It was a bit of a success problem. Like we had a couple customers that were on the fence, and then things fell apart when they tried to use somebody else, and then they came back with a vengeance. So it was great. But then it was, oh man, it's a lot of work to make sure that this gets executed and everything goes well. And on top of that, I spoke Spanish the best out of all of us on an operations experience. So I basically had to teach myself how to speak Spanish and try to get as fluent as possible quickly. And so I wouldn't say I got fluent, but I got proficient enough to work. And so that was just a full year of really grinding it out, because people there just were generally leader. And I don't know if that's the case for everybody, but most manufacturers and shippers speak to their partners later in the evening, 5 or 6 o'clock. So it'd be like finish the whole day and then have a conference call with different manufacturers or vendors in China at night. And it was an all day, all night type of thing. And on top of that, trying to translate every conversation in my head, because I'm still thinking,
totally.
we don't read English, but translate every conversation and get back to everybody quickly. That was definitely for me, like the hardest year or two period, and growing out that whole division from scratch, and building that out. And also at the same time, building out, tech to better accommodate for that mode. So, cause even though we had a, good experience in it, I would say most TMSs and tech for brokers don't really properly accommodate for that mode specifically, and all that goes into it.
It's very niche, man. I mean, it's one of the things that I've always respected about you and Nick and Vincent. When you think about building this business out, what you do is very specialized. It's niche. And I think that creates a larger moat. This is a very competitive space that we're in. And if you've got some services that you provide at a high clip that, you can't just solve by hopping in and making a couple calls, it allows you to be able to build a differentiated business. So I want to kind of pivot to that and just talk about differentiators. So you're in the market positioning Pinnacle versus whoever they're using today. What do you all lean on to say this is what makes us different to the rest of the market?
Oh man, good question. I mean, it depends on the mode, right? I feel like we've had to develop the differentiator and go-to-market strategy for each mode. As of late, specifically in LTL, I think our core thesis is that bringing enterprise level technology to mid-market and SMBs, for free. And that's been kind of our core ethos, getting the whole world of shippers in LTL to get away from measuring product and move towards dimensioning product, and going from manual tape measures and handwriting and walking things across the dock to modernizing the dock and automating everything and having everything captured and having documentation and proof for every part of that process. And so that for us has been the biggest gap in terms of how things have been done for pretty much everybody for 50 years versus an actual whole new way to do it. And we have a way to do it that allows shippers to do it with very, very little risk, no risk, get it for free. And they're not investing $25,000, $35,000, $50,000 in capital to gamble that this is going to be a good investment for them.
Nice. That's awesome, man. So as you look at continuing to build and grow the business, what are some key focuses for you? Any different modes, any different areas that y'all are going after? Is it, man, do the same thing we've been doing it, just do it even better?
Yeah, I'd say it's doing is that we don't want to add any more modes. We've already, had specialized and differentiated enough. I think we want to get better at every single one of those and scale all those up, right? There's plenty of TAM in every single one of those to go out and grow. And you don't want to have 10 different offerings and be 10 different things, because it's harder to scale operations, and that niche knowledge is less transferable between people, right? So it's keep doing what we're doing. He does modes and scale each of those up. And then really, I've been in charge of it, taking on our marketing and our online efforts, going full bore and trying to 2-3x that from our previous years. And
nice.
I feel like most businesses, our offer is really, really great. Service is really great. And if everybody knew about it, we'd be a really, really big business. So
sure. Yeah.
Getting more people to know about it. Right.
Totally. Yeah, man. Well, I respect the focus. That's something that we've talked about ad nauseum. And if you are everything to everybody, you're nobody to anyone, right? You want to be able to be zeroed in on that particular service and mode. And I think you all have carved that out, which is one of the reasons why you've been able to grow as you have. So let's talk a little bit about the market, right? I'm on calls all the time. It's not the most fun time to be in freight. It's quite challenging. Yeah. Well, what's your thought when you look at how you all continue to go to market, what you focus on? If the market is, we got to really bust our tails to grow this thing, or have you felt the same pressures and same challenges that the broader market has in terms of being able to grow the business?
That's a good question. I feel like, for me, in my view, the market's the market, and we just have to operate without it. Control the controllable. I almost just set it to the side completely. I don't really think too much about it. I think short term, it's painful because, in my opinion, a great broker is kind of that cushion between market volatility for shippers. So in that short term, when rates spike up, we take the brunt of all that pain off of the shipper. And then once it's stabilized, like our vision is, okay, let's say you have 3 different providers. We want to be the last one to come to you and say, hey, rates need to change. Right. That's the goal. We want to be the very last person to come up. And then you go, yeah, you know what? Everybody else has already told me. I already knew this was coming. Appreciate you guys for doing it. As you said, you would for as long as you could. Totally get it. Right. We never want to be the first. And so that means that it's been a couple of months of pain in regards to certainly a truckload.
Sure. Yeah.
And I would say specifically there, what the other modes were a little bit more niche, a little bit less susceptible, to those spot changes, I would say. But I think long-term, it's healthy for the market, and that's what the market needs. You know, I think everybody knows we've been in a freight recession, or I was declared over, but we're in a long-term bear market, let's just say. And so I think for the health of not only our company setting aside, but for carriers, like I don't want to see as many carriers go out of business. I want to see more people succeed. I think rates should be higher across the board, and you know that's not great for shippers. And unfortunately, that there's a cost to that. But I think that's what's needed for the health of the overall market and the overall economy long term.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's not the most fun, but it's probably what needs to happen to right size where the market is and where it's going. So when you think about what you've learned building the business, I'd love to hear what type of advice you might give to a younger version of yourself, or maybe someone that's out there today going, I think I'm going to go take my entrepreneurial venture. I want to go make this jump.
To start a business specifically in freight, like with prior freight experience, or like just trying to get into freight out the gate?
Just entrepreneurial stuff that you've learned that you feel would be helpful. It could be freight or freight related. It doesn't have to be, but hey man, I'm thinking about going to go make the jump. You guys took a risk and you did it and it's been successful, but some people might be a little scared to go and do that.
Yeah, I think every situation, every person's different depending on like, do they have a family? What needs do they have? What are they currently making at their current job? But generally speaking, when I've talked to a lot of my friends, they kind of want to do 3 different side businesses and then like do them all and figure it out, or like do this kind of thing on the side. And I just think that typically doesn't work. Like if you're going to do it and you want to start a business, then you got to risk it all and go on yourself and go full steam ahead and focus on that business. It's very, very hard to be unsuccessful if you're super consistent. I think consistency is the number one thing. If you just doesn't matter what business it is, if you do it for 20 years and you're all in on it, you will be successful, right? But it's letting it, even after the peak valley of interest and excitement is over, still committed to it and still committed to the craft and keep doing it even when it's not as exciting and as fun anymore, right? We're finding ways to do it.
I agree with that. I feel like I say that all the time. And I think it's probably one of the reasons why you and I get along. I don't think there's many things that are crazy proprietary about people that are super successful. You got to show up. Cool. When you show up, you got to bring the heat, right? You got to work with a particular effort and clip. And some days aren't going to be great. And you have to show up the next day and bring the same level of effort that you did the day that you just maybe got beat up and the customers didn't want to talk to you, got hung up a lot, days weren't great. And I got to show up the day after that and the day after that and do the same thing. That's why most people typically win.
Yeah, totally. The whole time you were talking, it made me think of sports and football. It's like the same thing. It's like going to the gym, it's like showing up even when you don't feel like it, even if it's not your best effort, even if you're sore, just you do it for 10 years consistently, you're going to see results, for whatever reason that comes to mind. And just, I wish I could spot 500 pounds like you. So that's been dreaming. Next time I'm out there, I'm going to have to hit the gym together.
That would, listen, man, there's nothing I love more than spending some time in the gym with some of my favorite people moving a little bit of weight. So we'll move the weight down a little bit. We'll get to it. It'll be fun.
Yeah. It'll be good.
So you've got a great group. You got a great team, right? The people that you all have hired are fantastic at what they do. And you and your business partners are all strong in different areas. Any insight to what it looks like to have different contributors as partners to the business, and how to cite like the skills that they need or that you need in them for this to be successful? I think you, Nick, Vincent, all very different, bring different things to the business. Anything that you kind of looked at and said, okay, we could do this together because we all have these different skills?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like for us, that's like so obvious, that it's like, I don't know how much, I'm super lucky. And, hey guys, if you happen to have one friend who's really, really smart and operationally minded and maybe one of the smartest people you've ever met, maybe have that guy do operations for your business. And if you have another guy who's like the most relatable, likable person ever, that's been the best sales guy in every organization they've ever been at, maybe have him do sales for you, and you probably got a business there, you know?
Yes, totally.
So, yeah, I think we've done a good job of us staying in our lane, and then me kind of being like a hybrid of both. You know, Nick is super operational mindset, one of the smartest people I know, super bright guy, and has a really great mindset for like how to execute on solving problems, like what that actually means. You could talk all the jargon, but what it actually means in reality to do that. And Vinny has a unique skill set of being able to talk to people, being able to transfer that belief, like I talked about, and great sales aptitude. And, you know, will do right by everybody and be great friends with everybody and look out for them. And he'll go above and beyond for people without expecting anything in return all the time, and always look to see how he can give more to other people than they can give to him. And I think him having that mindset's always worked. And then I'm there to bridge the gap in between and be like, hey, let's not sell, you know, we could sell this, but let's make sure we can execute that. But operationally, I kind of play Switzerland between both. Not there's ever issues. That applies. There's not. There's really we always pretty much see eye to eye, but I feel like I could bring both in kind of a hybrid format. And that's why my rules changed a ton, is just like whenever the business needs the most, whatever's not being done by those two guys, I've had to step in and fulfill and learn how to do. And so right now that's marketing, and that's been a really fun journey. So
yeah. What have been some learnings about the marketing side of the business that have helped you all? We had a couple of follow-up conversations after our engagement, just talking about what's been helpful and what's been successful. But what were some eye-opening items in 25 that helped with the marketing side of your biz?
I think for us, especially in the LinkedIn space, I feel like no matter what, we just try to keep our content focused on who the actual ideal customer is, who our ICP is. We're not on there trying to make every logistics industry person laugh. So we're not going to go get, 150 likes because we meet a funny post that every brokerage gets and can relate to. And we're not talking to other logistics people. We're talking to shippers and trying to say like, hey, if you have this problem, here's a solution, here's value that it can bring to you. And I think that's just our core belief and thesis. I don't know. I would say if it's like paid off tremendously, it's a long, slow burn, but
sure.
I do know that when we have engagement with people, when we talk to people, they can go and they see that, and they see the consistency, and they see that we're on brand, like, hey, this is actually what these guys talk about. And so that's been super helpful for us. And there's a lot more to learn this year in regards to all the different social media platforms and how to scale that up and see different files that we can actually build. But and I think, man, anything else to learn. Just overall how to make it better. Think about a little bit more prep work, I would say.
Sure. Yeah.
And there's a partnership and strategy on that. So
yeah, it's interesting sometimes when you start doing some of the marketing and branding, you want to throw a bunch of stuff out there, see what people resonate with, or, what your ICP is going to engage with. And then you get good at it. You start to pivot and realize this is typically where our audience finds the most value. And it's always interesting to me when you start to have those conversations with decision makers and they either reference something that you may have posted and you're like, okay, this is working right now. They may not always react to it, but when you get in conversation, you realize that there's a funnel of people that they see what you're doing.
Yes, that's the biggest thing for sure. Because especially, I'm like that. I feel like people don't engage, but you'll talk to somebody and they're like, oh, I love it. I love your guys' stuff. Or I saw this. And you're like, okay, all right. So yeah, it's there. It's just, it's not always on like so apparent. Right. So
yeah, totally. It happens all the time, man. So that's one of the things I had to learn early on, which is you can't get discouraged if you're not getting some of the vanity metrics that you may want, the likes and the comments and whatnot. Because I can't tell you how many times I've gotten on calls with people that have never engaged in my content that are now customers that go, oh yeah, we see all this stuff, like you said, all the time. So you can't let it face you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Again, just being consistent, do it for 10 years. We'll probably figure it out. So that's the plan.
Totally, man. Totally. So as we get ready to wrap up here, I want to make sure we get the opportunity to see if there are, any things for us to keep our eyes out for with you and Pinnacle over 2026. Anything up and coming that you want people to be aware of or just look out for?
Well, we did finish our rebrand and kind of relaunched the company and the logo. So that was a little passion project of mine. So
Congrats,
you'll see
man.
that
Awesome.
now. That's in the last few weeks. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. I think, man, is there anything for people to look out for? I would say no, man. We're just going to keep doing our thing and grind it out and quiet in silence. And, hopefully you see our name up on the leaderboard at some point,
Yeah.
That's it. So,
Hey, man, if there was someone that I'd be betting on, it'd be you and the group. It's been a pleasure being able to see you all continue to build, and I'm super excited for the success that you will continue to have. As we get ready to wrap up, best places for people to reach you and to reach anyone in the team if they want to learn more about your business.
Oh, yeah, definitely reach out on LinkedIn. That's where we're most engaged. Not really super active on other socials. So I'd say reach out on LinkedIn, our website. But Rapid Freeman, I get the same question for you. What should we be looking out on the word? What should we be looking out for you in 2026 with you and the Journey team? And what's the goals?
I love this question. So we had a strong 2025. We doubled from a revenue perspective. Our goal is to 2.5x in 2026. I think we've really figured out who our ICP is. We understand who to market different services to between recruiting, consulting, and training, and then which customers are the right types of customers in those. Ideally, we get a chance to sell multiple services, and a lot of our customers leverage multiple of those services, but I think we figured out who those people are. We know who those decision makers and who those buyers are. So a lot more intentional with the marketing messaging, a lot more intentional with outreach, things of that nature. And then we're working on some interesting stuff internally to be able to be more efficient. So just upgrading tech so that our team can either manage outreach more effectively, work through different opportunities more effectively. At the end of the day, it's to be as successful with our clients as we can, whether that's placing talent, coming in to execute an engagement, or have them leverage our training suite. And so it's been fun, now being 2 years in, going into year 3, you got a little bit more visibility over what works. And so we just gotta tune that in and stay focused.
Yeah. Same, man. All right. I hope to see it. Same thing. I'm hoping that not 2.5x, if we get 2x at this point, that's our goal for 2026. So
yeah,
we go back at the end of the year and after we both make it happen.
Yeah, man. My last question is, any favorite books or recent books that you like? I'm always looking for new stuff to listen to or to read.
Yeah, I do. Have you ever heard of Joey Martin? He's a preacher, but he wrote a book called Stand Firm and Act Like Men. And that came out this year, and that's a really good book. So
sweet.
Big fan of that. I think he's a great guy to listen to. If you're Christian or into the faith at all, but super, super funny, great book.
Beautiful, man. I'll have to check it out. Tyler, I really appreciate you making some time to jam and join the Journey podcast. I hope that you and the team continue to crush it, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too, man. Looking forward to it, and have a great year, and appreciate the time today.
Thanks, Sid.
Thanks.
Sweet. So trying to stop this recording, but my Riverside is being really goofy right now. So we're good. Our team will get this cut up, and then we'll get it to you via email. That way you can let us know if there's any edits that you want. I don't know how far out we are in terms of when we'll launch this one, but we got a couple episodes in queue. We'll try to get it to you well in advance, and then we'll also get you some clips that you and your team can promote, and then we'll co-promote to make sure we get a lot of visibility and drive some people your way.
Love all that, dude. Love all that. Dude, you guys got to have like just a basic part of the website that hosts all this stuff where you can post them up and backlink it. Oh, okay.
We
I remember how you ordered it.
No, you're right. We have to. I've got some stuff pending, and I have not prioritized getting it down, but we need to 100%, man. It needs to be hosted on there.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. I don't know. That shouldn't be too big of a lift.
No, it's not too bad. I've got a draft email right now to my best friend who also does our website development with a handful of things, and I think that might be on the list. But we must get that doc. It's super important.
It just helps with all that engagement, and then we can. I was talking to my marketing guy. We can just like make it super easy with all the SEO and all that, just ready to go for you guys to throw it up. So no, I'm excited. I'm excited for it to drop. Well, we got to do that. Yeah, I'm being a total hypocrite because we got to do the same thing. We don't have like a media section yet, but I'm in the middle of like re-recording a couple of BSLs and a bunch of videos for the website. And that's probably the thing I'm most excited about this year from a marketing perspective is just VSLs and some long-form video content. I'm interested to see how to test that out.
I love it, man.
Yeah. So
I love it.
We'll see. But and if we at some point we're to scale up the sales team, so maybe we could talk about the recruiting side. I'm sure just to see
Yeah, man.
You guys
Let me know.
But
Let me
first,
know.
I want to get Vincent's schedule just full of inbound leads. That'll be money.
Correct, man. We'll do. Glad to spend some time chopping it up a little bit. If you need anything, let me know. And dude, if you guys want to tap us for some of the recruiting stuff, glad to help.
Cool. Sounds good, man.
Awesome,
I appreciate it as always.
Good to see you. Thank you.
You too. Thanks, Tyler. Bye. Take care.